Let's talk about a giant here. The Chinese e-commerce giant Alibaba has just unveiled its latest set of numbers, and for the first 3 months of this year, all the money it rakes in, revenue, rose, certainly but higher than expected. It rose 61% thanks to some strong e-commerce sales and gains in its cloud computing business. But there's been some concern among investors of late over the big spending ways of its boss, Jack Ma. He's been investing in businesses like logistics, online video, physical retail, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Cyrus Mewawalla is Managing Director at CM Research and a familiar face. Cyrus, good to see you.
Good to see you.
So the numbers better than I expected, but I want to move on from the numbers because something like 90% of all the money Alibaba makes is in China. And we know Jack Ma has big ambitions to expand globally,
Correct.
In particular in the United States, at a time when he wants to sell more Chinese goods in the US, at a time when President Trump and his administration are going, no China, no more. It's going to be tough.
I think it's going to be tough. These results were fantastic. Alibaba was growing at 50%, it's now growing at 60%. But in order to get future growth, it's got to move out of China because it is the market leader in China and it can only go down. So there's two ways it can do that. It can buy US assets, in technology, in retail, and so on, or it can invest in other tech cycles.
Yeah, but a Chinese company trying to buy US companies, of late we've seen a lot of them being blocked.
Of late, that's probably a no-go.
Yeah, okay. I also want to talk about Jack Ma, these nervous investors. I think 60 billion has been wiped off Alibaba's market value. That's investors sort of speaking with their feet, I guess, or whatever. But I'm just wondering, isn't Jack Ma basically following Jeff Bezos with Amazon? I mean, in the early days of Amazon, it was bleeding money, and Jeff Bezos used to try constantly assure investors we've still got very good growth. We still continue growing. Yeah. And you look at Amazon today, right? Is he not doing isn't Jack Ma doing a Jeff Bezos?
I think he's doing exactly the same thing. And initially, Jeff Bezos had some trouble, so investors weren't with it. But as he started gaining market share in all the tech cycles he conquered, investors came with it. And even though Amazon is making profits now, but essentially it doesn't make as much profit as many of its competitors, investors love Amazon, and I think they will love Alibaba for the same reasons.
Yeah, you're very optimistic, aren't you?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's the sixth biggest tech company in the world now, behind the big five American.
Yeah.
It can go bigger.
Yeah, part of the reason I'm optimistic is because, some tech leaders waste money, but I think Jack Ma is spending his money on exactly the right technologies. He's spending it on artificial intelligence. He's the leader in e-commerce. He's spending it on mobile payments. They own 33% of Ant Financials. They're even trying to build
They want to be a Tesla. They want to be a Tesla, don't they?
They're even trying to build an autonomous vehicle car.
Okay, well, it's amazing stuff. And not bad for a bloke that got rejected at KFC, right? Kentucky Fried Chicken. Cyrus, always a pleasure. Thanks very much. Short and sweet. We appreciate that.